Okay, hi guys. All right, now, on your worksheet, you will see this blank picture of a girl. All right, so what I need you to do is to draw a sketch of how you think, okay, a murderer will look like, and list down at least three physical or mental attributes that you identify in a murderer beside your sketch. Okay. Remember we talked about the Disney characters, the normal villains. Okay. So use your imagination and your prior knowledge on how a murderer will look like, and then you just draw here. Okay. You can draw facial features over here. You can change the clothing as well. The video that we watched, you saw the taxi driver wearing certain clothing. Maybe they have a scar or a tattoo. Okay, I'm just giving a few ideas. All right, and then I want you to list down three physical or mental attributes. Okay, beside your sketch here. Okay, so maybe you can put here physical attributes. Okay, how do they look like? And mental attributes, how do they think? Attributes. Okay, are they mentally unstable? Okay, are they angry? All right, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. Okay, so let's look at the text here. All right. So let's just go through. Okay, I'm going to go through the story with you. Okay. So Mary Maloney was waiting for her husband to come home from work. Now and again, she glanced at the clock, but without anxiety. She merely wanted to satisfy herself that each minute that went by made it nearer the time when he would come home. As she bent over her sewing, she was curiously peaceful. This was her 6 month expecting a child. So over here, okay, we realize that she is pregnant. Okay, and then we see her, paying attention to the arrival of her husband. Okay, and then look at how, okay, they actually interact here. All right, hello, darling. Hello, he answered. So as you can see here, obviously we feel a bit of tension already. Tension, why? Okay, because we see her giving him a term of endearment, but the husband replies just very simply. All right, then look at this part. Okay, she took his coat and hung it up. Then she made the drinks. And then she was back on her chair sewing, and then so she's very um considerate, okay, as a wife. All right, and look at this. For her, this was always a wonderful time of day. She knew he didn't want to speak much until the first drink was finished, and she was satisfied to sit quietly, enjoying his company after the long hours alone in the house. She loved the warmth that came out of him when they were alone together. So this part you can see. So obviously we notice that she's a very loving wife, and then she notices certain aspects of her husband that normally we won't notice, like that she loved the shape of his mouth, and and especially like the way he didn't complain about being tired. Okay, so can we look at this question over here? So what are your impressions of Mary Maloney? So, over here we agree that she is a dutiful and loving wife, but also she's very observant and meticulous. So this part, okay, I want you to think about this part of a quality that she's very observant and she's meticulous. She's actually because of over here for this part over here. Okay, all right. So dutiful, loving wife. Evidence we can get from here the fact that that she yeah, there you go. That she's waiting for her husband to come home from work. She stood up and went forward to kiss him. She took his oat and hung it up. Then she made drinks. She's a very dutiful wife. Okay, so let's look at extract two. Okay, so Mary says, "Tired, darling?" "Yes," he sighed. "I'm thoroughly exhausted." As he spoke, he did an unusual thing. He lifted his glass and drank it down in one swallow, although there was still half of it left. He got up and went slowly to get himself another drink. Now, this is perhaps unusual. Okay, why do you think he does this? All right. For me, the reason why, he lifted his glass and drank it down all in one swallow, maybe because, he was mastering up the courage to tell her something. Okay. And normally when people, you know, um, down alcohol like that, usually because they want to muster up the courage. Okay. Then look at this. "I get it," she cried, jumping down. "Sit down," he said. Okay. And this one, mustering up the courage, is also emphasized here. You see, when he came back, the new drink was a strong one. Okay. So I think it's a shame, she said, that when someone's been a policeman as long as you have, he still has to walk around all day long. So here is where we find out that, that her husband, okay, this is his job, okay, that he's a policeman. All right. So over here, she's talking to him, okay, she's just babbling, and then look at this, he didn't answer to her, okay, he made no sign. So from the very beginning, from extract 1 to extract 2, okay, we see Mary Maloney trying her best to communicate with her husband, but her husband is not giving her anything. All right, look at this. "I'll get you some bread and cheese." "I don't want it." "Forget it." Okay, "Sit down. Just for a minute, sit down." So, so Mary Maloney finally knows that something is going on. So it wasn't until then she began to feel frightened. Okay, so look at this. "How do you think Mr. Maloney perceives his wife? Support your answers with evidence from the extract." Okay, a possible answer would be he doesn't think that she's important enough and that she annoys him a little. Um, why? Okay, because of the way they were interacting here. You can use this as evidence, like the way she was talking to him, but he doesn't want to respond to her. That he doesn't really care about her feelings as well. He's just saying, "Sit down, sit down." Okay, she's obviously trying to care for him, but then he doesn't want to reciprocate. Okay, but you can have any other answer that you want. Okay, so look at extract 3. "Listen, I've got something to tell you." "What is it, darling? What's the matter?" He became motionless and he kept his head down. "This is going to be a shock to you." I thought about it. Okay, it didn't take long, 4 or 5 minutes at most, and she sat still through it all, watching him with puzzled horror. Now look at this. Did the author actually tell us exactly what her husband said? No. Okay, and this creates again tension and suspense, because you're leaving the reader to imagine what exactly the husband told her. So there it is, he added, "I know it's a tough time to be telling you this, but there simply wasn't any other way. I'll give you money and see that you're taken care of." So obviously, so this one you see, so this line, okay, this line we can infer that he is leaving her. Right. So look at this. So her first instinct was to not believe any of it. She thought that perhaps she imagined the whole thing. So look at this. She acted as though she had not heard him. And this this part over here, she cannot believe it. She can't believe it at all that her husband was leaving her. And how do we know? I'll fix some supper," she whispered. When she walked across the room, he couldn't feel her feet touching the floor. She couldn't feel anything except a slight sickness. She did everything without thinking. All right. And then she took the leg of lamb. Okay, so obviously this part she's feeling very numb already. She doesn't know how to feel. Okay, so let's look at this. How do you think Mrs. Maloney is feeling right now? So, possible answers would be, I think that Mrs. Maloney will feel depressed and betrayed due to her husband wanting to leave her while she's pregnant with his child. Obviously, she will feel a bit angry as well because she's heavily pregnant, but her husband wants to leave her. So look at this. I've told you, don't make supper for me, I'm going out. So imagine you are Mrs. Maloney. How will you feel when your husband says this to you after what happened? He says he's leaving you, and then he says, you know what, I'm going out. So a possible answer is that you will feel rejected and outraged that my husband is taking me for granted despite me doing everything and giving my all to him. So these are possible answers that we can explore about Mary Maloney's feelings. Extract 4. So let's look at this. At this point, Mary Maloney simply walked up behind him and without any pause, she swung the big frozen leg of lamb high up in the air and brought it down as hard as she could on the back of his head. So look at this. At this part, okay, we know that Mary Maloney has killed her husband. Okay? She came out slowly, feeling cold and surprised. Okay, she stood for a few minutes looking at the body, still holding a piece of meat tightly with both hands. All right, she told herself, so I've killed him. So, what do you think about this section over here? Right, it seems very matter of factly, void of emotion, right? Okay. And look at what's happening at her mind now. Okay, so this is the mind of a murderer here, right? Because she killed her husband. It was extraordinary now how clear her mind became all of a sudden. She began thinking very fast. As the wife of a detective, she knew what the punishment would be. So look at this. At this point, she is actually thinking very logically. Okay, as you read through this extract, okay, you see her thinking very logically already. Okay. So what is the difference observed in Mary Maloney in Extract 3 and Extract 4? So Extract 3, she was portrayed to be quiet and submissive, but in Extract 4, we see her as vicious and ruthless and savage woman who does not think twice to kill her husband. Okay, so in Extract 4, she completely changed, okay, and debunked all our perceptions of her. Okay, you can pause this if you want. Now, extract 5. The car came quickly when she opened the front door. Okay, so this section, okay, is where, is where we see the police coming over her house and investigating because she called the police, right? Okay, and then look at this. So, and look at how people treated her. They always treated her kindly. Okay, and then look at how she was telling the story over here. All right. And then look at how, okay, she says this. Please, personally, I couldn't eat a thing. It'd be a favor to me if you ate it up. Then you can go with your work. So this part is quite interesting already because what is she asking them to eat? The leg of lamb, right? And how did she kill her husband? With this same leg of lamb. So basically, what is she essentially trying to do? She's trying to make the police eat the murder weapon. Okay, and then look at this. She could hear them speaking among themselves, and their voices were thick because their mouths was full of meat. And then look at the conversation here. That's why the weapon should be easy to find. Whoever did it, he can't carry a weapon that big around him. Personally, I think the weapon is somewhere near the house. It's probably under our noses. What do you think, Jack? And this one, she began to laugh. Isn't this quite ironic? Okay, because what is happening to the weapon now? They are eating it. They are not realizing it. Okay, so this dramatic irony. Okay, that the readers know what's going on, but the characters do not know. Okay, I'll go through this concept later on. But look at the ending of the story. Okay, she is laughing. Why? Because she has committed the perfect murder. Okay, so let's look at this. How do you think others view Mary Maloney? They will view her as loyal and caring wife who is innocent and incapable of murdering her husband. Furthermore, as a wife of a detective, she is perceived to be law-abiding. In addition, her pregnant state would lead others to believe that she is too weak for any violent actions. So this is how others view her. So what are your impressions of Mary Maloney now? She's not an easy and simple one. She's not a simple woman. Okay, she's not simple-minded whatsoever. Okay, she's not simple-minded at all. So if you look at the first extract, we were talking about how observant she is and actually meticulous she is. She plans everything. All right. So she is not as stupid or silly as we think she initially is. Okay. So can you answer this next two questions? Did you expect Mary Maloney to murder her husband? Yes or no? Some say yes. Some say no. Okay, what do you think was the author's intention in casting a woman like Mary Maloney to be a murderer? Okay, we were talking about subverting stereotypes. Okay, so normally, okay, if you go to your drawing just now, your murderer would be someone scary looking. But over here, and in this story by Roald Dahl, okay, he makes us rethink the traditional image of a murderer. And what is he trying to teach us? He's trying to teach us that we shouldn't take everything at face value, that everything has a story, everything has a background. All right? Okay. Hope this helps you, okay, in understanding the story better. Okay, any questions?